So hey everybody, my name is Jerome Braggs and welcome to the Soulicious Living Show. The Soulicious Living Show is a spiritual coaching show where we learn how we have the knowledge, tools, and experience to teach us how to live a more awakened and delicious life. My name is Jerome Braggs. I'm the host of that show, and I am a spiritual teacher, awakening coach, and intuitive medium. And it is my greatest passion and desire in the world to help people wake up so that they can be lived to live a really juicy, delicious life that is most in alignment with their soul. And one of the ways in which to do that is what we're going to be talking about in today's show, which is the 4 stages of spiritual transformation. I wanted to talk about this topic because across the world, as a coach, I coach people across the world. I have clients in Asia, I have clients in Australia, I have clients in the United States. I have some clients in South America right now. So I have people all over the world. And what I'm noticing is that there is, we're currently going through different phases of spiritual transformation. Right? All of us are receiving different wake-up calls. We're waking up to those calls in different ways. And there seems to be a higher mass number of people that are going through their transformation processes right now. And so I wanted to kind of do a show to talk about what the 4 stages of spiritual transformation are, what they look like, what the keys are to make it through that phase and get the most out of that phase so that you can make the step to the next phase, and why these particular phases happen in our lives. Like, why are we going through the particular spiritual transformation phases? So today's show, we're going to dive deep into the 4 stages of spiritual transformation. Like, what happens along your spiritual path? If you're on a spiritual path, what are the phases of spiritual transformation that allow you to become more of who you really are, to express more of your spirit or the soul or the God self or your expanded self is what I like to call it, into the world, and that allow you to have a more juicy, awakened, delicious experience here. So we're going to go deeper into that experience and talking about what are the 4 stages of that. So before we start to talk about and dive into that, we have a lot to share today. As for the first time, I've actually got some notes here. I want to make sure that I really said all the things that I want to say, because I got a few downloads from Spirit this morning around this topic that I want to make sure we get into the conversation. So before we start, I always like to start the show with a period of mindfulness. So if we'll just take a second, if you're on the show, if you get comfortable, if you're watching live, if you're watching the replay, if you can get comfortable, you can sit in a chair, or if you're wherever you are, get it to a comfortable space. And we're just going to do a few moments of closing our eyes, deeply breathing, and centering ourselves into the present moment. So if you will, just right now, close your eyes. And let's take a few deep breaths in together. On the count of 3, breathing in. 1, 2, 3, breathe in. And breathe out. And breathing in again. And breathing out. And last breath together, breathing in. And breathing out. Now for the next few moments, we're just breathing on our own pace in silence. Thank you. bringing our attention back into the space now. I want to kind of start with the show. So again, I said the spiritual transformation is when we are, when we make a shift in our lives and we become a new person. And that person that we become is a person who is more aligned with our soul and is more expressing that soul, the energy and the intentions and the purpose of the soul into our daily lives. Now, the soul, for the purpose of the show, I call the soul many things. I call it the higher self. I call it our inner being. I call it our God self, and I call it the expanded self. And the soul is the part of us that is the eternal part of us. It is the part of us that is connected and woven into the fabric of what we may call God or source or creator. It is the part of us that gets to have the physical experience. It's not just this flesh and bone body that you see. It is physical, but it is also non-physical. It is human. It is also spiritual. It is the part of us that holds infinite wisdom. It holds unconditional love. It is the essence of pure joy and happiness. And it is divine. It is fully divine. It is who we really are. It is the fullest of who we are. And the purpose majorly of spiritual transformation is to allow more of that presence, more of that energy and the intentions of that presence and energy to express itself in our lives, to express itself in our daily living, in every area of our lives, whether it's in relationships or money or health and well-being or, the peace that we have in our personal expression. How we relate to other people in the world, all of those different types of things. The purpose of spiritual transformation is that you become more of that aspect of yourself, not just the smaller self, which is what we usually operate through in the world, in our daily lives. Either it's the ego, some people call it the ego self. I call it the small self. So the purpose of going through spiritual transformation is to allow more of your spirit to express itself in your daily living. And you will experience many transformations over the course of your lifetime. You won't just have one transformation. You'll have several because you may not be letting your spirit express itself in its fullness in many different areas. So you may have a transformation that deals with your health. It may have something that deals with your money. It may have something that deals with relationships. Whatever avenue or vessel that needs the higher expression of spirit in your life is where you'll have a transformation over the course of your life, and you may have several. And also, not just to have it over those several elements and spaces of your life, but also to have it at deeper levels, to have deeper levels of spirit being expressed. So you may have gone through a transformation. Let's say that the transformation, the vehicle or the vessel that allowed the transformation to happen was health. You may have a different experience of health later in your life, so that you can have a different, deeper, more anchored expression and expression of spirit in your life. So a lot of times we'll say, I already went through that. Why am I going through that again? It's not because you didn't understand it or you didn't learn it during that time or that you're being punished at this particular time, because that's the spirit doesn't operate like that. It's that you're being asked now to anchor in a deeper expression of that into your life, and that this particular period of transformation is helping you anchor that. So let's just jump right in. Let's dive right in and let's talk about what are the 4 different stages of spiritual transformation. The first stage of spiritual transformation is the breakthrough stage. It's the breakdown stage. It's the breakdown stage. And the characteristics of this stage is, this is the stage where the shit hits the fan, if you will. This is the crisis stage. This is also the wake-up call stage. What's happening is that your soul is, through the experiences of your life, is trying to get you to wake up, to wake up. And we'll talk about what that particular wake up call is all about here in just a second. But this is the wake up call stage. So with the characteristics of things just aren't working. It may be, maybe the what's not working is your relationships. Maybe your relationships are unfulfilling. Maybe they're toxic. Maybe they're damaging to you in some type of way. Maybe you may be experiencing this in the form of divorce, or getting divorced, or somebody, some people that experience the breakdown moment in their relationships. They've been with somebody for a very long time. They were into this relationship, and one day that person just left them. Or they just can't seem to figure out how to make relationships work, and they're always just, damaging to a person in some way. So you may be receiving this crisis moment. The breakdown is the state of crisis. You're in the state of crisis where the shit is hitting the fan, things are not working out, and your life just does not feel good to you anymore. So that could be in a relationship. It could be in your finances. A lot of people, some people that are experiencing their breakdown, the first stage of their spiritual transformation, they may have lost a job, and so they don't have any money anymore. They may have gotten fired, have let go out of the blue, and they don't have financial security anymore. Or they may have lost their house, or they may have lost, there's a fire in their house and they lost everything. Or sometimes, so it could be happening in your finances. That could be the breakdown or the crisis moment that you're experiencing. That is the wake-up call to take this journey of transformation. It could be in your health status. For me, my particular transformation, they mostly happened in my health. I had an experience where in 2005, a team of doctors gave me 7 days to live. And that was my breakdown moment. I was diagnosed with several life-threatening illnesses and diseases. And so things were not working anymore. I couldn't work. I couldn't function like I usually wanted to function. And life was breaking down for me. It was literally felt like, somebody pulled the rug out from under me. And that's kind of the characteristics of the breakdown phase. Is it feels like somebody's pulling the rug out from under you. Everything that you knew about your life, how it flowed, and how it began to be stable for you and work well for you and be fulfilling for you, is all starting to break down. And it's usually doing that mostly. Some people can have it, if they're really being called for a really deep transformation, you'll have it in several areas of your life. Like several areas of your life are just not working anymore. Your relationships aren't working, your health isn't working, you're struggling financially, your peace of mind and mental stability is being challenged. All of those types of things are kind of characteristics of a breakdown. And again, it's a wake-up call phase. And so why you have this particular phase is why this particular phase of life happens for you is because, one, there's a bigness that is wanting to happen in your life that you're not allowing through how the energy that you're offering life and how you're living. So there is a level of life that wants to be expressed through you. There is a level of spirit that wants to be, there's a level of God that wants to be expressed through you onto the planet that you are not allowing. Whether that's you're not allowing it through the thoughts that you're thinking and the beliefs that you're currently holding. You're not allowing that through how you feel about yourself and the vibration and the energy that you're offering out. Or you're not allowing that through the actions you're taking and the choices that you're making consistently. So there is a bigness that wants to happen from a spiritual level in your life that you're not allowing. And so and you're continuing to not allow it. It's not that you just didn't allow it chronically, continually to not allow it. So it's not something that you kind of acutely did. It's not something that you just didn't allow today or this week or for the last 2 days. This is a system of life that you continue to live that's not allowing the bigness that you came here for and that your soul is calling you towards. So there's a calling that's happening for you for a bigger level of life. And I'm not talking about like that more, necessarily more money or that you're being called for. I'm not talking necessarily about that you're being called to be bigness as in like you're famous or you're a celebrity or that you have millions and millions of dollars or anything like that. I'm talking about that you're being just called to a higher level of living than you've been experiencing. You've been called to a deeper level of relationships. You're being called to a higher level of understanding who you really are as a soul. You're being called to a higher level of relating with yourself and others and feeling about yourself and others that you're not doing. And so, for instance, for me, my wake-up call, I told you my crisis, my breakdown moment was that my health, that I was literally on my deathbed, that my body was literally I was getting ready to die. And looking back, the level of living that I was at was, I lived a high level of shame in my life. I was ashamed of several things about myself. I was ashamed of how I looked. I thought I was fat and unattractive. I was ashamed of my success level. I thought I was a failure in life. I had a college. I had just gotten out of college, and my 20-something-year-old brain thought I was supposed to be making millions of dollars already, and I was really comparing myself against other people who were highly successful. And so I was living this level of shame and feeling like a failure and not really connected in myself and showering myself with love and compassion. And so but there was a call that was happening from my soul to begin to shift to like, there was a bigness that wanted to happen for me, that I just was living like that. I was continually living like that for years. And my soul was like, it's enough. Enough is enough. We can't live like this anymore. You're not listening anymore. And so you're going to have a breakdown moment, right? And so you only have a breakdown, like you only have crisis. You only have that when you've chronically not listened to the call. There's a wake-up call that's been happening for you. Your soul has kind of been tapping you on your shoulder saying, hey, you can't continue to go in this direction. The direction in which you've been living and the energy in which you've been offering does not serve you. And you cannot continue in that direction anymore. And if you continue to ignore these little taps on the shoulder, the little feathers on the shoulder at the beginning, then they get a little harder. And then if you ignore that, you get the knock upside your head. And if you ignore that, then, it's like a brick wall falls on you. And that's kind of where the breakdown moment happens. It's kind of it's like the brick wall falling on you. So that's the kind of the reason why it happens, is that you haven't been listening. And this is the call. This is the wake up call that will help you listen more. Right. And so it's happening again to help you, again, wake up. Like, hello, can you go pick up that phone and get to this call, right? Because now there's a bigness that wants to happen that's being called to you. Can you allow this bigness now to manifest through your life? So that's the reason why the first stage of spiritual transformation, which is the breakdown stage, that's why it happens. For all of you all that are joining me now, thank you. My name is Jerome Braggs. We're talking about the 4 stages of spiritual transformation. And I just went through the first stage, which was the breakdown stage. If you have any questions or comments, or you want to add to this conversation at all, please feel free. You can add into the comment section there. You can type your question in the comment section, or if you have a comment or something you'd like to add or some wisdom to this conversation, I'd love to hear it. And in a minute, I'll be opening the open seat where any of you all can join and have a conversation with me live and share your wisdom to the audience if you want to do that as well. So that's why you have the first stage. And I want to share with you the keys to making it through the stage. And so in each of these phases, we're going to talk about the characteristics of the phase. We're going to talk about why you have that particular phase or stage of transformation, and the keys to making it out of that stage and progressing into the next one. So the keys to making it out of the stage of breakdown into the next stage of spiritual transformation is that you want to make this, the key to this is you've got to listen. The first key is you've got to listen more. Again, the whole reason you're in breakdown is because you weren't listening to the wake-up calls, the gentler ones that your soul was trying to send to you. And again, you usually have a breakdown in the area of life that you're most willing to pay attention to. So for me, I had to break down in health because, I wasn't listening to it in my finances. I wasn't listening to it in my relationships. I wasn't listening to it in, my level of peace and my mental and my mind. So the way that my soul could communicate this to me, could communicate this call to me, the best way that it knew how that I was going to listen to it finally was through the status of my health. For other people, for you, it may be through the status of your finances. For some people, it's the status of your relationships. For other people, it may be something else, your work, your work environment or something. But whatever it is, your soul is going to use the breakdown in the area that you're most going to listen to. So the way to make it out, the key to making it to the next stage is to listen. Like if it's a wake-up call, if we're using that particular metaphor that your soul is calling you on the phone and saying, hey, pick up the phone, the key to doing that is actually to pick up the phone and start to pay attention to what your soul is saying. And some of the ways, some of the tools to help you listen more is meditation. To develop a practice of meditating every day, even if you just do it for 1 to 5 minutes a day, it'll help you get out of the chatter, the constant chatter and daily chatter that we have. We're connected on our phones, we're connected on the internet, we're in conversations with people in our relationships, we're at work talking, and we hardly ever get time to disconnect from all of that and just listen. And meditation is an awesome practice. I don't have time necessarily in this particular show today to talk about meditation. We'll do a show in the future about just going through different meditations and practicing it. This kind of what we did to open the show it was a brief meditation where you just still your mind, you close your eyes, and you deeply breathe. You don't need to make it any more complex than that. It can be very simple, and that you allow yourself to listen to what the soul is trying to say. Going for walks in nature by yourself, without having music going on, like headphones to listen to music, just being by yourself and listening to life in nature helps you listen more. I get great clarity, and I hear more loudly what my soul is trying to tell me when I go for a walk in nature. I try to do that at least, if I don't do it every day, I try to get it in at least 3 times a week, where I go in a park, and a nature park, and I just walk for 30 minutes. And maybe I'll sit there and I'll just be still. And it helps me really hear the messages that my soul is trying to send to me. Another way to listen more is, I'll check my notes here that I wrote down this morning. So listen more. Meditation and going into nature is a key. Another key to doing that is to stop doing what you were doing. That's the whole call is, again, to make a shift, to stop being that person, to stop doing those behaviors and feeling those feelings and offering that vibration, and start going over and make a shift in who you're being and the vibration you're offering and the behaviors and the choices that you're making. So the key to make it out of the stage of breakdown is to make other decisions, right? To make other choices. So for going back to me again, like I had to stop judging myself so harshly, comparing myself and feeling shameful. I had to stop feeling, like a failure, and I had to start treating myself and my body better, and so that was to make a better decision. So if it's in your health, like what are the healthier decisions that you can start to make that will help you, that will help your health more? If it's in relationships, what are you, if you're used to making, if choosing partners that don't serve you, or that, that betray you or that hurt you, stop doing that. Stop. One of the things to do is just stop getting in a relationship with that people. Like leave the relationship. Like if you're in a painful relationship, the first thing to do to make it out of the breakdown stage is to end that relationship. Right? If you're in a, let's say you're having a breakdown at work where you're just not fulfilled anymore and you hate your job. The first thing to do to make it out of that breakdown stage is either to leave that job or to start looking for another job, right? Start looking for different work. So that's the main simple thing to do. Is the 2 keys here are to listen, to do what you can, to listen to the message, to listen to the call that the soul is sending you. Right. And then the second key to making it out of this phase into the next phase of transformation is to stop doing what you're doing. Like do things differently, make new choices, make new decisions, make new behaviors, and offer a different vibration. Right. If you're angry and you're pissed and you're sad, you want to start to move up the scale. Right? You can't make a total shift into being absolutely joyful and loving and all of that, but you can just make, you just want to feel better, do what you can to feel better a little bit. And so I see a lot of people who are stuck in their lives in breakdown. Although it's a spiritual transformation, not everybody goes through all 4 stages of this. People can get stuck in a certain stage. And one of the reasons why they get stuck in the stage of breakdown, if you're consistently experiencing breakdown, one of the reasons why you're experiencing breakdown is because you're not doing these keys. You're not listening, and you're not, you're continuing to repeat the pattern that caused the breakdown. You're continuing to do the things that caused the breakdown in the first place. So you've got to stop doing the things that caused the breakdown, and you've got to listen more. And so those are the keys to making the shift out of breakdown. So I just want to stop here before we go into the second phase of spiritual transformation, and giving you all a chance to, if you have any questions, I know several of you have joined now, but if you have any questions about the particular phase of breakdown, the first phase of spiritual transformation, which is breakdown, if you have a question about anything that I've shared or comment, or you'd like to add to that, please add that in the comment section. I see several of you all are now commenting, saying where you're from, and I see somebody saying, yeah, that you may have to catch the replay. Please do that. The replay will be available within 48 hours after this particular live showing of this. But if you have anything, I'd love to hear your comments. So, and to give you some time in that, I want to go back over this really quick. The characteristics of breakdown is this is the wake-up call. The shit is hitting the fan. You're in crisis mode. Things are not working out for you. Why you're having a breakdown stage in your life is because you haven't been listening to the smaller wake-up calls of the soul, the taps on the shoulder, if you will. Over a period of time, you've been not listening for this kind of a chronic conditioning of not listening. And your soul is using the one way it knows it's best that you'll listen. And it's going to use it in the area of life that you're most going to listen to. Again, it may be your relationships for you. It may be your health for you. It may be money and finances for you, or work for you. It may be your state of well-being and peace, or your mental stability for you. But it's using something that you will most listen to get you to finally pick up the phone and listen. Right, and take the call. The reason why you're having this phase as well is there's a level of bigness that wants to happen. There's a level of spirit that wants to be expressed through you into your daily living and into your daily experiences that you've not been allowing. You've just not been allowing it through the way that you live and the energy that you're offering. And the way to move out of the breakdown stage is the keys to moving through the breakdown stage to the next level is you've got to listen more to the call, and you've got to I forgot what I was saying. Just quickly, let me check my notes. You've got to stop doing what you were doing. You have to stop doing what led to the breakdown in the first place. And then also another key to moving through breakdown is that you've got to get support. You've got to reach out and get help. Whether that help is a coach or a therapist, whether that help is whether that help is a spiritual teacher, whatever that is, or just a friend that you can, or it's a friend or a family member that you can talk to and that you can share your experiences with. That's the key to that. I have somebody coming in that wants to share here with this for a second. So let me bring this person in. We have Wesley Warren. Hello, Wesley. Can you hear me? I can't see you here. Can you hear me? Hello? It seems you may be having an issue on your side of the technical, because I can't hear you or see you. You may need to refresh the page sometimes in Blab, because it's still in beta. So if you'll click the refresh button and try again, you may be able to come through. I have one more person that's coming through. That's coming through for the seat. So I see Carlton coming through.
Hey, how you doing, Jerome? Can you hear me, Jerome?
I can hear you, and I can see you as well. I can see your computer.
Yeah. I came in part just I wanted to make sure there wasn't a problem with the seat, because I saw that Kenyon was having some problems there. But I did put a question up on the site, and I'll, if you don't mind, I'll go ahead and just kind of read it. I'll save everybody else from having to read it. But I'm curious, when you use the word soul or spiritual or spirit, are you using that as sort of just a convenient abstraction, a way to talk about the part of our brain or, whatever, without having to, redefine it every time? Or are you actually talking about it as a specific supernatural or divine entity that lives within us?
Yeah, I'm specifically talking. I kind of explained
Oh,
what
I'm
I meant
sorry.
by
I
soul at
missed
the
that.
beginning of the show, but I'll do it again here. No, I'll do it again here because it's an excellent question. What I'm meaning by soul is I do mean the divine. I do mean the divine entity that is actually you, the wholeness of you. It is the eternal part of you. It is the more expanded part of you. It is the part of you that existed before you made the first judgment about yourself. It is the part of you that holds the awareness of your full lovability and your worthiness and your empowerment and power. It is also the part of you that is both physical and non-physical. It is both. It is the part of you that gets to have what I say an incarnation or a physical expression, which is what you see here, which is the body. But it is also a part that exists in also the spiritual aspect, which is also the non-physical aspect of you. The soul is the fullness of you. It is what you return to when you make your transition or what you die. But it is also what you experience here. So there's two parts of you. Some people call it the ego self and the spiritual self. I call it the smaller self and the soul self. And so the smaller self is what most of us operate through during our daily living. We're conditioned to operate more through that side of ourselves. The soul self is the part that has the greater, grander, wider picture and the greater divine and more divine wisdom, capability, and power. And so that's what I mean when I'm talking about.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Because, you never know. People use the words in different ways. So I definitely, yeah. I've only been listening for maybe I guess maybe 10 minutes or so. But, I like what you have to say. I think it's good. I think it's valuable. I think you've got some real insight there. So I agree with you in terms of what you're saying. I disagree with you about the divine and the spiritual and the soul. But I can take the part that I appreciate and and not get hung up on the rest. So no, I think it's good. Are you new to Blab, Jerome? I haven't seen you before.
I have been on Blab maybe a few months now, and I do this show particularly on Sundays at this particular time now. I am not a longtime Blab user, but
well, you got me beat by almost a few months, so that's
okay.
That's very good. I swear it's always nice to get people that are. How do I describe it, Jerome? People that are fun to listen to, right? So you've got a nice, even demeanor. You obviously you've got a great smile. You're a happy person, so it's always nice. It's always nice to talk to people that are like that, and everything doesn't have to be an argument. So.
Thank you. Exactly. Thank you so much.
That's quite okay. Matter of fact, let me add you there and click on you. All right, there we go. Well, that was, I didn't really have anything useful to contribute. I just, we come at it from maybe different perspectives, but I like what you had to say. So, I just wanted to kind of chime in and say that was cool. Somebody says, hi, lively debate. I really like the way Jerome explains the soul and spirituality. Nice to see you here. Well, there you go.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, and welcome. Nice to see you as well.
She is. Who is Ramona? Oh, it's Ramona. WordPress queen. Yes, in custom WordPress themes. Excellent, Ramona.
Nice. I need to talk to Ramona, so I have to think so if you're WordPress queen, I have some WordPress questions.
That's kind of what I was saying before. I'm doing some programming for a client here, and I just needed something nice to listen to. So you filled the gap really nicely there, Jerome.
Thank you so much, Carlton.
Let somebody else have the seat. You bet.
All right, thank you, Carlton. I see Wesley Warren again. Same issue, Wesley. I'm not seeing your video. And can you hear me at all? Yeah, I can't hear you. You may need to refresh the screen. You may need to do that. Again, Blab is in beta, and sometimes some of the issues happen with us being able to tune in. So you may want to refresh the screen. Okay, guys, so I'm going to lock the seats here for a minute, and I'm going to open the seat again after I talk about the second phase, just in the interest of time for this particular session of the show today. So the first stage we talked about was breakdown of spiritual transformation. There's 4 stages. The second stage of spiritual transformation is the breakthrough stage. So the breakthrough stage and the characteristics of the breakthrough stage is where you receive kind of your quote-unquote aha moments. You begin to have a new awareness and a new understanding about yourself and about how you operate in the world and the shifts that you want to make. And this is also the stage where you start to make shifts, where you start to make changes, where you start to have new awarenesses, new experiences, and new ways of living. And you begin to start to apply those in your life. So you have an awareness about what wasn't working. You start to have, what caused the breakdown. You have an awareness about what you want to do, the shifts that you want to do to make your life start to work better for you. And, and that's the kind of the characteristics is you start to begin to, you've taken the call and you're starting to apply the information that you got in the call of the breakdown. Right. So you know why you have the breakdown. You're understanding what doesn't work, the energy, the thoughts, the beliefs, and the choices and the behaviors you're making that did not work for you. And now what does work? You're starting to be aware of what actually will work. I talked in the first stage about there's a bigness that wants to happen and that you weren't allowing. You're now aware of in the breakthrough phase of what that kind of bigness is a little bit. You kind of get a glimpse of what that bigness is, and you understand the changes and the shifts that you need to make to allow that bigness to happen, and you begin to put those changes in place, right? I see you should be hearing me as well. I see the person that wanted to call in a second that we have some issues doing that. You should be hearing me. If you can't hear me, if you're just hearing me, if you're just watching my lips talk, there's an issue going on with sound there with you. So again, you may want to refresh your page. So again, I'm checking my notes here to make sure I get out everything I want to say about the characteristics of the breakthrough stage. Yeah, so again, you begin to see a new way of living, right? You begin to see a new way of living your life, and you have a new vision for your life. You have a new way of where you're wanting to go, and you start to shape your life around that new vision, right? So one of the things that starts to happen when you're in the breakdown stage is you start to read material. You begin to start to ingest material that benefits and supports and empowers you. So again, wherever that breakdown was happening, let's say it was happening in relationships, you may start to go to seminars or retreats that help you develop more healthy relationships. Let's say you got a divorce, your breakdown was a divorce. What may begin to happen for you is you're going to begin to understand, what kind of relationships in the breakthrough moment, oh, wow, this is how I was being in that relationship. And this person I was being in that relationship does not foster a healthy relationship, isn't the person I really want to be. I don't want to be that type of guy who doesn't really honor the boundaries of my partner, or doesn't listen to what my partner needs for their well-being, or isn't showing up and opening my heart and being vulnerable, or isn't a loving person that's receiving love and allowing love and receiving it and giving it. That may be the thing that your breakdown was there to help you understand. Maybe if your health status, if your breakdown was your health status like mine was, my breakthrough was I started to understand that I wasn't loving myself, and that I wasn't trusting in the universe to support me, so that I was a very toxic person towards myself in the way I thought about myself, in the way that the choices that I made in my life, and that I wasn't going through my life in a relationship that was trusting in the divine to lead me. I was fully always trying to control my life. I wasn't trusting that life was working out for me. And so I began to stress out a lot because I was trying to control everything, right? So that was my breakthrough understandings and awarenesses. And the shift that I began to make was I had to really start to learn what that meant to love myself more, what it meant to trust in the universe to support me, what it meant to trust in spirit to support me, right? So whatever that area is that your breakdown happened in, the breakthrough is when you have the aha moments, where you have the aha moments that begin that you get the knowledge, the tools, and the experiences to make the shift into a higher level of living, into a level of living that better nourishes you, better empowers you, and better allows you, again, to express the energy and the intentions of your soul into your daily living. Okay, so that's kind of what the characteristics of the breakthrough moment is. So why do we have that stage? Like, what's the purpose of that stage? What's the purpose of breakthrough? What's the service of breakthrough in our lives? The service of breakthrough is to give you the knowledge that you need. The knowledge, again, you have the awareness and the knowledge of, wow, the way I was living before does not serve me. It was a toxic way of living, or the patterns that I was repeating don't allow me to have the type of life that I wanted, right? And don't allow my spirit to actually come through the fullness of my life and spread out. Like the way I was living, my spirit, who I really am, my natural self, and all of myself, the most divine aspects of me, couldn't spread out fully in my life the way I was living before. So that's one. You have the knowledge. Then the purpose of that is why you have that stage, is to give you the tools then to allow that to happen, to allow your spirit to spread out into the fullness of your life, to allow you to make the shifts and the changes that will allow you to live a more nourishing, delicious, enjoyable, fulfilling life, especially in the area in which you're having a breakdown, and allow spirit to allow you to serve the purpose for which you came here, which is to be the more full experience, expression, and expression, and to serve the intention of why you came here, right? Of your soul, of spirit, of source, of the God self. So that's kind of why you have the breakthrough phase, is you get the knowledge and then you get the tools to let you have that. And then you also begin to get the experiences in the breakthrough that will help serve this as well. Like you begin to have, the aha conversations with people like, oh my God, I didn't realize that loving yourself when you don't love yourself, that's what happens. And this is how you love yourself. I had never heard that before, right? So like one thing for me, an example for me, what I was having the aha kind of conversations experiences was, I didn't know that loving yourself, an aspect of loving yourself, was learning how to say no. Like learning how to say no to things that didn't serve me or that I didn't want to do, right? I was constantly saying yes because that was the nice thing to do, or that was what, my family wanted me to do, or how can I say no to this person? But I was saying yes to all these things, and I was juggling all these things in the air, and I felt resentful, and I felt I wasn't really honoring what I wanted to do, and I wasn't following the call of my soul because I was trying to do all this stuff that somebody else was saying. And so that I didn't know that was an aspect of loving yourself. It's a big aha for me. And one of the things, again, the tools that I had to put in place was I had to start saying no to more things, right? I had to say no. If a friend of mine called and said, hey, can you come over and help me do this, and that? If I had plans for my day that I was planning for me, or if I was really tired, or if I was sick, I needed to say no. Not right now. No didn't mean for me that I hate you. It just meant I need to, doing that would take me away from what I really want to do right now, or what serves me, and doing that may drain me. So anyway, that's another conversation about saying no. We can totally get into that in another show. But for today, the purpose of the breakthrough is that you're wanting to, is to give you the knowledge, tools, and experiences to help you make the shift to where you can begin to allow the bigness that wants to happen at this level of your life. The bigness that your spirit is ready to express through you. So that's the purpose for your stage. And also, if we go back to the metaphor, remember I said the breakdown is the call. It's like the call on the phone to say, okay, pick up the phone. Like the crisis is, are you finally going to listen? And the key to moving from the crisis into the breakthrough was that you have to listen, right? So the breakthrough is where you listen, where you're listening and you're starting to put what you're hearing in practice. You're starting to apply that. And the key to making it out of the breakthrough stage, because you can get stuck in the breakthrough stage. I see a lot of people who get the ahas, but they don't put the ahas into practice enough to where they actually go to the next stage, right? They make the shift, which is the next stage of transformation. But they don't actually make the shift into that stage because, you've seen all the people who, they go to the seminars, they are reading all the books, and they have all this knowledge, and they're getting all, and they can spout all these ahas to you, or all these great things. They have, let's say they know what they need. I have a friend of mine, as a matter of fact, who wants to lose weight. and can tell you everything that you need to know about, how to lose weight, right? They can tell you what you need to be eating, and how, they were eating all these things, they can see now that, eating all these cupcakes and eating all these, fried foods and things was not beneficial to helping them lose the weight that they want to lose. They can tell you, the diets and the eating plans that most are effective. They can tell you, that losing weight is not just about eating, it's also an emotional journey. They can tell you all those different aspects of things, right? But they haven't lost the weight. They're not actually they know all those things, but they're not applying them, right? My friend is still eating the way that, that he said you should be eating, right? He's still, he hasn't really done the emotional work to release the reasons that were supporting his weight gain in the first place. So the way you get stuck in the breakthrough stage is that you don't apply the wisdom that you've gained by answering the call. So that's the number one key to making it out of the breakthrough stage, is to not just stop at gaining the wisdom. You've got to start applying the wisdom in your life. For me to understand, using myself as an example, for the wisdom that I gained was I wasn't loving myself and that I wasn't trusting in the universe. Well, it's one thing to have that awareness. It's a whole other thing to do it. To start to love myself, and to start to trust, and to start doing my work, and to trusting and surrendering to the universe more, right? So that's the key to making the shift. So that's number one. You've got to, the key to making it out of the stage is to take the wisdom that you're gaining and to apply it, and to actually make new choices, have new decisions, to have new thoughts and beliefs in your life. That's another thing. You can't keep believing what you used to believe, because again, your belief system is what's shaping your reality. I'm a total teacher. I'm a spiritual teacher. I'm a metaphysical teacher, and I teach how our reality is shaped. And one of the things that shapes your reality is the vibration that you offer and the beliefs that you hold. And the vibration is the energy that you're offering, which is how you feel about yourself and how you feel about the world around you. That's in a very simple way. That's what vibration is. And the universe takes your vibration and it shapes your reality around it. Your vibration is kind of if you look at like the universe as an architect, and it's like building the house of your reality, your vibration is the blueprints. It's the blueprint that you give to the universe to say, build that. Right? So if you don't change the vibration and you don't change your beliefs, then you're continuing to hand the same blueprint to the universe, and the universe is going to continue to build the same house for you. So that's the key to doing that, to getting out of there, is to not just stopping at the wisdom and the aha and the awareness, is to going into the application, to making the shift in your vibration, to making the shift in your choices and your behaviors and your beliefs. And so that's stage number 2, which is the breakthrough stage. So I see somebody says, yeah, that's me. I know I've not been committed to applying the knowledge. And so, yeah, just more compassion to understanding that. And then for yourself, don't beat up on yourself. If you recognize this is not, this particular show today is not to put a light on you so that you can beat up on yourself. It's to help you understand why you may not be making the shift into the next area of your life, and to help you move through these 4 stages with as much power and compassion and kindness for yourself as you can. So if you recognize yourself in any one of these stages, great. You have to move through all 4 of these stages. You can't just jump from number 1 to number 4. You got to move through all 4. And so if you recognize yourself at any one of these stages, great, give yourself much compassion. And understand now, like take a moment and say, okay, I now understand what I need to do, like where I'm at and what the key is for me to go through this. And also like give yourself permission to move through these stages in the time and the pace that most serves you. A lot of times people want to move through their breakthrough like that, right? Or their breakdown. They want the breakdown to be over at the snap of a finger. You are literally moving through the pacing of your life at a level that most serves the evolution of who you really are, right? It most serves who you are as a being, as a human being, and who you are as a spiritual being. right? There's two levels. You're a spiritual being having a human experience, right? And so you want to honor both aspects of that. You want to honor the spiritualness of that, and you want to honor the humanness of that. And so one of the ways to honor the humanness of that is to allow yourself to move through these stages in a way that to not rush yourself through these stages, to not rush yourself, to move at a pace that's not stressful. And also to move at a pace that's not stressful, but also move through at a pace that your soul wants to move. Like, are you moving slower than your soul wants to move? Right? Are you dragging this along when your soul is like, okay, we're done with that. Can you come on? Right? That's another way to really honor that. So honor that, to honor the pacing that wants to happen. Right? So that's the breakthrough. Again, you have the characteristics of the breakthrough is you have aha moments. You're understanding why the breakdown happened and the shift that needs to happen to allow the next level of life. You have a higher vision of for your life now. You have a different vision for how you want to be in the world, of who you want to be in the world, and who you want to become and how you want to live. And the reason why you have this stage is so that you can get the knowledge, tools, and experiences that will help you allow more of your spirit, more of the God self to express itself in your life. That's why you have the breakdown, the breakthrough experience, is that you're now getting the knowledge and the tools and the experiences that will help you make the transformation. You're getting that. You're getting the wisdom, and you're getting the application of the wisdom that will help you transform. And the key to making it out of this stage is that you don't just stop at the wisdom. You don't just stop at the aha. You don't just stop at the awareness, that you use the awareness and the aha to apply the changes in your life that are being asked of you. Okay, so I want to give some time now for any of you all who are attending the show live. If you have any questions or comments about the breakthrough stage, to do that, I'm going to unlock the seat now. So if you want to join the seat, if you have anything you want to say live, please come in and do that. Or if you just want to put the comments in the side of in the comment section, I'd love to hear that. I see someone, Ramon said, you're doing a great job explaining it. Thank you so much. I'm trying to stick to my notes. I had one way I was going to share this today, and then all of a sudden this morning I got a download from Spirit about all this other stuff. So I want to make sure I'm sharing all of that. So thank you. Lets me know that this is clear. If any of this is not clear and you want me to repeat anything, please feel free to put that in the comment section or ask a question of me. Please feel free to do that. This is an interactive space today. So I want you all to be able to feel empowered and to feel free enough to join in the conversation and also ask your questions. So does anybody have any questions? If you have any questions about the breakthrough, or you have any wisdom that you'd like to share about your own breakthrough, I'd love to hear that. The seat is now open. In the interest of time, if give you all a chance to do that, I'm going to move to phase number 3, which is transformation. This is actually the transformation stage of the 4 stages of spiritual transformation. So the characteristics of this stage is the stage where you've already applied the changes in your belief system. You've changed your behavior, and you've changed your vibration. And you're now a new person. The characteristics of the transformation stage is you feel like you're a new person. You are no longer the person that you were when you were going through the breakdown. You don't even feel like that person. You're almost unrecognizable to that person. Like if that person who was going through the breakdown was to look at the person who you are now in the transformation stage, you wouldn't even recognize who that person is, because how you go about the world, how you speak, how you talk, how you interact with people, the energy in which you move through your life, the vibration in which you're giving off to the universe, and how your life looks to you. Like the experiences, the people, and the things that are in your life are different. They are different. They're higher. They feel better. They're more nourishing. They're more empowering. Who you are is more peaceful. You have transformed. It's like the butterflies to the caterpillar. Like I'm sure, if we were to put the metaphor as butterflies having human characteristics, butterflies and caterpillars having human characteristics, if the butterfly was to go back to the caterpillars would have no idea who that was. It's almost like let's just, even moving out of that metaphor. Let's look at like someone who's lost a lot of weight. Let's say your friends or people who you used to hang with when you were very overweight. Let's say you were obesely overweight and you were at an unhealthy, toxic weight for yourself. The people you used to hang out with, maybe you used to go to buffets a lot, used to eat a lot, used to do all of those unhealthy characteristics. You had people that were, in that with you, and you hadn't seen those people for a while. The friends that you had during that time, where you were being that person, you haven't seen those people in a long time. And you go back and you've lost a tremendous amount of weight, and you go back to that. Or what a lot of people will say is, I don't even recognize who that is. I don't even know who that is. That's a different person. Not just how they look, but how they speak, how they act, how they behave. It's different. So that's a characteristic of the transformation stage. Is you're a different person, and you're a different person to who you used, not just to your friends, but who you used to be. Using myself as an example, the person who was going through the phase when I had been given 7 days to live, who was living in all that toxic energy that my body just couldn't handle anymore. I am unrecognizable to that person. I don't even recognize that person. I don't speak like that person. I don't move through the world like that version of myself. I don't believe some of the same things that person believes. I have a different energy than that person has. I have a different expression of that person has. And so you're a different person. And part of why you're a different person is you're expressing more of your spirit into your life. You're more aligned with the soul self and the God self now. And so more of that, you're expressing more of the intentions of that side of you. You move through the world more as an expression of your soul than you did before. Before when you were having the breakdown, you were moving through the world more as your smaller self, or as your ego self, as some people call it. Now, once you've had the transformation, you're moving through the world more as your spiritual self, more as your soul self, more as your God self. So that's one of the characteristics of the transformation stage. Also, you feel and behave differently. You're like I said, you don't make the same choices in your life anymore. You don't have the same behavior. You don't have the same languaging anymore. You also enjoy your life more. Life tastes better. Once you've transformed, it tastes better to you. Just like the butterfly, the caterpillar, its viewpoint of the world was from a lower plane. It was from it can only see, what it can see. It was on the ground. It lived on the ground mostly. So its viewpoint was from a ground level. It had no access to what the butterfly has access to, right? The butterfly sees from the sky. It can see, it has a wider vision of the world and of itself, right? And it's expressing more of its beauty. It has colors and wings, and it's like it has a different experience of life. Is taken by the wind and all of those things. The same with you. There are things that happen with you when you transform. You have a different viewpoint of life. You have a wider picture of who you really are and how things really work. You do things differently, and you have a higher experience of life that's more delicious. Okay, so those are some characteristics. You also no longer engage yourself in the behaviors and the relationships and the environments that caused the breakdown in the first place. Like, you don't hang out with caterpillar type energy anymore, right? And so that's another characteristic of your transformation. You can't go back. That's really a characteristic of transformation. When you have transformed yourself, you cannot go back. You can't go backwards. The butterfly cannot go back to being a caterpillar. It just does not. You don't go back to that way of life. You don't go back to the way of behaving. You don't go back to that way of believing about the beliefs that you held about yourself or the world. You are a different energy in the world now. and you don't go backwards. You only just continue to go forwards. So 1 second, I want to read some of the comments here. Yeah, I understand. Sometimes I wish you could come in, but I'm cooking. I understand that. Are there different stages within the transformation? Because a part of me is like that, but I still have issues with other parts of me. The transformation stage, yes, there are different stages in the breakthrough stage. Like, I didn't go through all the elements just in the information of time, but I like to correlate the different phases of the breakthrough stage to the transformation, like the butterfly's transformation journey. Like, if you look at the caterpillar to the butterfly, if you really study that, it's a fabulous, miraculous, very mystical stage of life. I think the caterpillar to the butterfly is the best replica, is the best metaphor, is the best correlation to how we actually change, how we beings actually change and become more of our soul self, and we transform. It is the best replica. And if you look at all of the levels of the stages that the caterpillar goes through before it comes into a butterfly, we have many stages like that. You know, there's a stage, for instance, I'll probably do another show just looking at the stages that the caterpillar goes through as a butterfly and correlating that with the stages we go through in our change. Because there's a stage that happens and that most people don't actually know about in the transformation of the caterpillar to the butterfly, where they're in the cocoon stage of their lives, where they're cocoon. And this is the stage as well. When you're going through transformation, there's a part of your life where you're going to cocoon yourself, where you're going to kind of be you're going to kind of separate from a lot of the interactions that you have with people. You won't separate from everybody, but it's you'll feel like you're going to spend more alone time. You're going to be alone more. And that's kind of your cocooning phase, right? But there's a phase in the cocoon that happens with the caterpillar where its entire chemical structure and its entire physical structure breaks down. And it comes down into it's kind of this goo. It's kind of this goo phase. If you were to open the cocoon and look at it, you'd be like, oh my God, what the hell happened here? Because it's not in caterpillar form at all. It's like this liquidy goo form. And in this goo form is where it begins the chemical makeup of it begins to change so that it can support the biological structure of what a butterfly is. And we have a similar phase in our lives that happens where it feels like everything about you, especially if you go deeply into spiritual transformation. When you go deeply into spiritual transformation, what happens is it feels like everything about you is breaking down and being reformed and restructured. And so that's a whole nother conversation. But yes, that's an excellent question. There are different phases in the breakdown stage. Yes. And yeah, she's saying, yeah, wow, that's definitely what happens. Yeah, as you're going into a deeper level of transformation, especially if you're going into, if you're being asked to become more of who you really are in life, if you're being asked to express more of who you are as a soul in your life, you're going to have this phase where almost everything in your life seems to be breaking down. Everything about you seems to be breaking down. Who you said you were, what you said you believed in, how you behave in the world, what you even like to engage in happens. I know I experienced this in my transformation. What you engage in changes, and what ends up happening is you get reformed. Almost, you just get reformed. And so yes, that's an excellent question, and thank you for asking it. So the thing about the transformation, the key to make it out of the transformation stage into the last stage of transformation. You know, a lot of teachers teach that this part of the stage of transformation is the last stage. And I don't agree with that. I've gotten more wisdom now, just on my own, not just in my own personal journey, but in working and coaching people from around the world. I've seen there's another stage in our transformation journey, that it doesn't just stop at the transformation. There's another stage. And so the key to moving, after you've transformed, you become a new being. The key to moving from that stage into the last stage of transformation, one is to not stop. is to not believe that's all that there is to this transformation. To not believe that you become a new being in the world, you've changed, you have a new way of looking at things, you're allowing more of your soul to express itself in the world, but to believe that that's not the end stage, that you can't stop there. That's the number one key. The second key to that is that you've gained wisdom through this period of what it takes to make it through a breakthrough, especially in that specific area of life. Remember, you may have had a breakdown in many areas of your life, your relationships, your health, and your well-being. All of that may have happened at one time. Usually takes place in one area of your life. It may be in relationships, it may be in your finances, it may be in your work, it may be in your health, it may be in your mental state, in your level of peace. But you've gained wisdom along this journey about what it takes to transform. You now have wisdom now, like the butterfly now knows what it's like to move from a caterpillar into a butterfly. You know now what it's like to move from toxic relationships into having healthy, fulfilling, nourishing relationships. You know what it's like to, if you want to lose weight and to have a body that is more healthy and that fits the vision you have for yourself internally, it externally fits that too. If you've gone through a transformation and you've lost a lot of weight and you changed how you feel about yourself, you know what it's like to love yourself and to lose the weight. You have wisdom. I know what it's like now, for my transformation journey. I know what it's like to, what it takes to love yourself, to really love yourself. And I know what loving yourself does for your life. I know that nothing in your life works well unless you love yourself, unless you really practice loving yourself and trusting in the universe to guide you and to take the lead in all your affairs. Like, that was the wisdom that I gained from my transformation. And so the key to making it out of the third stage into the fourth stage is to not just stop at having the wisdom, but to go into offering the wisdom to others, to serve. The key to making it out of this particular stage is to now offer the wisdom that you get given in service to others, right? And so that goes into the final stage, which is service. So before we go into the final stage, if you have any comments on of the third stage, which is transformation, I love to hear that. We're getting kind of close to the end of the time of the show. I've gone over the 60 minutes I had allotted, but we're going to close that here in a few minutes. But I just want to give you a chance here to kind of comment if you have anything you'd like to say about the transformation stage. I'm not going to open the seat. I'm going to open the seat at the end of the fourth stage. So if you have a comment or aha that you gained or some wisdom that you'd like to offer into this particular thing, please offer it into the comment section here and I'll read them out. So yes, the key to making it through the transformation into the last stage, which is service, is to offer the wisdom that you gained through your transformation about how to live better and about how to make a shift, about how to take the wake-up call that your soul is offering in whatever area you may have gained wisdom about what it takes to live better relationships, or what it takes to have a better marriage, or what it takes to gain your freedom and get your empowerment back, or what it takes to live your truth, or what it takes to heal your body, or what it takes to get peace, like live a life of peace and tranquility, what it takes to love, or what it takes to be a spiritual being having human experience. Whatever the wisdom you gained that your breakdown was here to wake you up towards, the key to making it to the next phase is to now begin to formulate that wisdom somehow into something that you can offer and serve to others. And so that's the fourth stage. The fourth stage and the last stage is service. It is having and so the characteristics of the last stage, of being in the service stage, is that you're serving others for the wisdom that you gained during your transformation journey. You may be coaching other people, like for instance, for me, I built a business off of what I gained in my transformation journey. I now offer, I told you that I learned what it takes to really build a juicy life. What it takes to really be in alignment with your soul and express more of your soul in your life by loving yourself and practicing surrender, by practicing loving yourself and surrender, right? And so I have a business coaching people on how to do that. Like, what does that really look like? Because that's what I learned through my breakthrough moment when I told you breakthrough is about the knowledge, tools, and experiences to make that shift. I now know I have the knowledge and the tools and the experiences, and I offer those things to individuals. I help them have the knowledge, tools, and experience to love themselves, to trust in the universe, so that they can begin to have a juicy, delicious, awakened life. So but you may not have a business on that, and you don't have to necessarily. Transformation is not necessarily about you having a business serving your wisdom. So you may not have a coach, but maybe you speak different places. Like maybe you just you tell your friends about what you've learned, or you tell your family about what you learned. You tell your spiritual organizations. You may belong to a church, and maybe you offer that wisdom sometimes in workshops or classes there. But or maybe you volunteer at places. Maybe you volunteer at a battered women's home because because your breakdown was you were a battered woman sometime in your life, and you know what it's like to move through that into owning your power and not allowing that type of activity to happen in your life anymore. Right? So maybe you volunteer at a battered women's shelter to help those type of women. That's offering your wisdom. Right? Maybe you were homeless, and that was your breakdown, and you know what it's like to move through homelessness into experiencing prosperity and abundance, right? And so maybe you volunteer at a homeless shelter, right? So it's a myriad and an abundance of ways in which you can go about offering the wisdom. But the last phase of spiritual transformation is that you offer the wisdom. Spiritual transformation is not just new to our particular culture today. It's not just new to our societies today. Spiritual transformation has been happening as long as human beings have been alive. If you look at indigenous cultures, if you look at tribal cultures, you'll see they have this particular thing built into their system. Like they have, I am both African. I have African ancestry. I also have Native ancestry. A Native American ancestry. I also have African ancestry. When I look at those tribal cultures, the Native ancestors had what they called a vision quest, which is where someone would go. They have this moment where they would go out into the wilderness. They would have their breakdown moment in the wilderness. They gain wisdom. They'd have a vision in the wilderness that allowed them to see something about life and about spirit and about who they were and about how they were to live, and that helped them understand how to better live. And they brought that vision back to the tribe. And they didn't just hold that vision in. They brought that vision back to the tribe, and they shared what they learned from the vision, and the tribe was able to implement what that person learned from the vision to better serve the tribe. The same thing with, rites of passages. You went through the rite of passage so that you can gain some wisdom, so that you could come back to the tribe and serve from that wisdom that you gained, so that the tribe as a whole began to be better. And that's what we're all being called to do now. I said at the beginning of the show that there's a mass movement happening in the world where many people are experiencing spiritual transformation at once now. They're having these spiritual transformation journeys because we're being asked to have wisdom to serve humanity as a whole. Humanity is in need. Earth is in need of the wisdom that you will gain from your transformation so that it can grow and it can evolve. And that's what, I told you about. There's so many people that end in the transformation stage, and they don't serve from the wisdom that they gave. And that is the biggest, to me, tragedy that can happen. Beyond just getting stuck in the breakdown phase. That's the biggest tragedy that can happen, is to get stuck in this transformation stage and not go into the service stage. The world needs your voice. It needs your story. It needs the wisdom that you gain through the story of your transformation so that it can evolve. And it doesn't mean that you have to have a big stage. You may not be speaking to millions. You may not do what I'm doing, where I'm doing a blab show, where I'm speaking to people on a platform. You may not do that. But you may just, the people that you may be called to serve your wisdom to may just be your family. It may be your children. You may teach your children what you learned through your transformation journey. That may be all that you're called to do, and that's enough. That makes a huge shift. It may be your work environment. It may be you're being called to form a business so you can have a bigger platform to serve more people on what you've learned, but you are being called to serve. And the reason, this is why you have this particular phase. You have this phase so that you can become a light for the world to help other people turn their lights on. That's what enlightenment is all about. It's about turning the light on. And so the fourth phase is about helping other people turn the light on, right? It's also about, the transformation stage was now you're living the bigness, right? The last stage was you're living the bigness that your spirit wanted in the first place. Is why you had the breakdown, because you weren't allowing the bigness that your spirit wanted to express through you to express into the world. The transformation is now you're living the bigness. This stage, this service stage, is now you have something to offer to other people to help them understand there's a bigger vision for their lives, and you have some wisdom about how they can allow that vision to happen. Like, that's why you have this stage of your life, right? It is to help people believe that that vision is possible, that there's a bigger vision, there's a bigger way that they can enjoy the taste of their lives and they can be of service to the world, that is possible. And I have some wisdom about, here are some tools to make that happen. This may not be the only way you can make that happen, but this is a way. This is a path. And the keys, right, for this stage is to continue, you have to keep continuing the wisdom that you learned, to keep allowing yourself to be open, because there may be another transformation phase that you're being asked to go through in a different area of your life. So to keep allowing yourself to be open and keep heeding the calls, right? So now the key to this stage is like, to listen to the smaller tap calls on the shoulder from your soul and not need the big wake-up calls where everything falls down in your face, right? So it's to keep serving, to keep allowing your life to be a life of service in whatever way that shows up for you. But the key now to honor the transformation journey that you went through is that you are to you are to live your life of service. You're to offer your life over to the divine as a life of complete and total service in whatever way that looks like for you. So those are the four stages. I see some of you saying, oh, wow, you feel that strongly, that you have, this is some ahas for you. Yeah, it's definitely a mindset for business owners. It's definitely that. And another one just says, any tips on firewalls? I don't have any tips on firewalls. If any of you who are listening have tips for firewalls, please, at Canaan_Able, let at Canaan_Able know what your tips are in the comments for how to get firewalls. I know you were trying to connect in here, Canaan. I know we were trying to have a conversation here and we just couldn't do that with what was going on with the connection there. I'm sorry that you didn't get to kind of give your questions or your wisdom to the space, but I know you can type it in here. I'd love to hear what you have to say if you can offer it in here in a comment. But those are the 4 stages of spiritual transformations, everyone. And I hope, is my deepest intention for this particular show today, that something I've shared here allows you to understand where you may be and helps you move through the phases with more ease. Moves through the phases with more awareness and more grace, and helps you open up for the unfolding that wants to happen. One of the prayers that I love that helps me move through the phases of my spiritual transformation is, please help me allow the depth of spiritual unfolding that wants to take place currently in my life. Dear divine, dear source, dear creator, dear soul, dear God, please help me allow. I'm willing to allow the depth of spiritual unfolding that wants to take place currently in my life. If you'll just say that prayer for the next 30 days, you will have a huge shift. I'm now willing to allow the depth of spiritual unfolding that wants to take place currently in my life. You'll have a huge shift in your life. It has been my greatest intention that this serves you along your spiritual development, and that this helps you turn the light on, and that this helps you understand that once your light is turned on, You're not finished. The last phase is that you begin to serve. And that phase lasts a long time. That phase is the longest phase the phase lasts until death, really. It lasts until your transition, whenever that is that you will be of service to the world. You will serve the world at whatever level that you want. That's the bigness that really wanted to be expressed. You are fully who you want to be. You are fully who you are. You're the soul self, the God self. You're more in alignment with the small self, and the soul self is in alignment, right? Your human self and your spiritual self are in alignment. They're expressing in the world. They're expressing in life. And not only are you expressing, but that expression is serving others. That's the bigness that caused the wake-up call in the first place. That's the bigness that caused the wake-up call of the breakdown in the first place. And when you get to that space, life gets really juicy. That's when you're serving your purpose for why you came here in the first place, for why you incarnated why your soul incarnated as a human being as the first place. It's why you chose this particular path to follow, is that you are here to serve the world and help other people turn the lights on, enjoy their lives more, feel their power, love themselves, and create what they really want. You're here to be a light for others to be able to do that in whatever way you choose to do that, and whatever way most serves you. So it's been an honor. I hope something that I've said in the show helps you do that, helps you turn on your light, helps you understand where you are in your spiritual transformation, and helps you move more smoothly through the different journeys here, move through the different phases. Again, my name is Jerome Braggs. I'm a spiritual teacher, awakening coach, and intuitive medium. I am the host of Soulicious Living Show. This is the show that we come together and we learn how to live more awakened and delicious lives. You can follow me on Facebook. I'm on my Facebook page at facebook.com/Coach Jerome Braggs. I'll put that here in the comment section. In a second, put a link to that in the comment section. I put blog posts, articles, posts. I do videos and events. You can learn all about all of those things on my Facebook page. It's always me on that page. I'm always the one posting. I'm always the one replying to your comments. It's always me. You can follow me on Twitter at Jerome Braggs, and my website is www.jeromebraggs.com. If any of you all are really touched by this information today, you may be interested in working more closely with me one-on-one. You can learn about what that looks like at that website. Until then, we have the Soulicious Living Show every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Time. Please feel free to join us. You can come in, add comments, and also you can join in live. Today I had a lot of information to share, so we didn't leave the hot seat, which is where you can come in and be visible with me as well. We didn't leave it open as much today because just in the interest of time, I want to get up through all this, but we'll be doing more interaction with you all. Next time, you'll have much more opportunities to share your personal wisdom next time. One last comment here before we go. It says, wow, you've been a breath of fresh air today. Thank you. You said you changed your blab today. I click on you as if you're drawn to do so. I'm so happy I followed that voice in me. Thank you so much. I'm glad you were here. You had some great questions that really guided and steered this conversation. And it is an honor to let me know that I was able to serve and that something here today served you. Again, that's why I'm here. That's my life. I live a life of service, and it's my deepest prayer every day that how can I serve? How can I serve deeper every day? So thank you for letting me know that. Again, hope to see you next Sunday. Next Sunday, we'll be talking about the anatomy of surrender. We'll be diving deeply into, we talk about surrender and how surrender is something that really up-levels your life. If you want to live a more juicy, delicious life, you've got to go deeper into your practice of surrender. But we're not just talking about why you need to do that. Next week, we're going to talk about what that actually looks like. I hear that's one of the main questions I get. It's really, how do you actually surrender? I'm going to dive deeply into what surrender actually looks like and how you actually do it. We'll be talking about that next week. So until then, I love you. I hope and pray and see the best in you. And I champion and I pray for the highest unfolding of your spirit in your life. Have a blessed week, and Merry Christmas. I won't be able to see you until Christmas. Merry Christmas. I hope it is beautiful for you in whatever way you celebrate that. And I will see you next week. Much, 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 much love. And before I do that, let me put my information here in the comment section. My website again is www.jeromebraggs.com. Facebook is facebook.com/Jerome Braggs, Coach Jerome Braggs, Coach Jerome Braggs, facebook.com/Coach Jerome Braggs. And then my Twitter is @Jerome Braggs. Awesome, everyone. Namaste, and I'll see you next week.